Ironically, Brian will be here, he's chasing down on the phone. Kevin, I think, will come in a bit, and Rosemary's on the way from Port Lauderdale. So, but we do have a quorum of those that are here, so we'll proceed. We have two guests today. I want to just recognize Gary Whitbeck. Thank you for coming. He desired not to talk, so I'm going to hold you to that. Gary has supplied us with Vernon's, the original ginger soda, brewed in,
Thank you, sir.
in oak barrels in Michigan. So originally only available probably in Michigan, but now widely distributed by Sam's or Costco.
Thank you.
He's also provided some cookies if you want to just share those around. So thank you very much. So next we have Pat Breslin, who has given us a statement, but I think you have a presentation for us too. As you've been here before, we usually will allow you 5 minutes, and then we'll take it under advisement and get back to you.
Understand, I know the drill. Just brought a visual aid, if you wouldn't mind passing it around.
Yeah.
As you know, the owners of 105 Waterway Drive in Moon River have clear-cut all the trees and shrubbery on their property in violation of TLA rules, and removed trees and shrubs as well from the TLA property along the perimeter of the lagoon. This eyesore is on the lagoon opposite my house at 4 Strawberry Lane. When we relax, it's on our back porch, and now my view is dominated by this. I took this photograph on November the 5th from my backyard. Notice that I see not only the house, the big white house, but also its reflection in the lagoon. What the owners of 105 Waterway Drive have done is unconscionable. A clear violation of TLA rules and a rude hello to all their new neighbors-to-be. We can see that the TLA is fighting this with a stop work order, which is great. The TLA has an absolute right and a duty to enforce the rules governing properties in our community. All the residents, not just some, benefit from the natural beauty of Skidaway Island. Ironically, the owners of 105 Waterway Drive have clear-cut the trees and bushes behind their new house so that they can gaze out their huge backyard windows and enjoy the scenic beauty of the lagoon, and we cannot. Besides annoying us, this clear-cutting has reduced our property value. It also sends a signal to other property owners that the TLA rules don't mean anything. When the TLA enforces its rules, the TLA has my support, the support of my next door neighbors, and the support of many residents of Moon River and other Landings neighborhoods who see this property every day because it's adjacent to the Moon River Gate. It's the talk of the neighborhood. Don't let the owners of 105 Waterway get away with this. Require the owners at their expense to restore the natural beauty of the lagoon to the greatest extent possible. They agreed to follow the TLA rules when they signed a contract to build a property at the Landings, and they must do it.
Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate your time, and despite my upset about this, I wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Thank you for this and the pictures you provided.
Thank you. Nice.
So I'm going to move on with the agenda, consent agenda, which is the ask for a motion to accept the consent agenda, which means accepting the agenda itself, the minutes from last month, committee reports, and other miscellaneous reports that we have. So, the motion, please.
Second.
And second, so all in favor? Aye. It's approved, thank you. We'll now move on to a report from the Landing Golf and Athletic Club, Mr. Bob Hanley, who unfortunately, this is your last time maybe to report to us, so you never know when these things happen.
You just never know, but as far as I know, it's my last time. Well, good afternoon, everybody. The second stage of our data collection effort for the 2027 capital plan, called Our Club, Our Future, was completed on Monday, October 28th in the form of an all-member survey. We received slightly more than 2,000 responses to the survey. The results have been compiled by GGA, the firm helping us develop a capital plan, and a draft report has been reviewed by the strategic planning and the capital plan committees. Members of those two committees will be meeting with GGA later this month, on Saturday actually, to help us interpret those results. The next steps are to release the results of the survey to the membership, prioritize the project results of the member survey, develop a list of potential capital projects, and then request additional member input on the prioritization results. We didn't hold a regular November board meeting, but we did have a short business meeting on November 20th. And at that meeting, we approved the recommendation of the executive committee for the remaining 2025 board officers. So joining Mark Lassner as president will be Dean Filippo, who will be the vice president / treasurer. Tony Marino will be our secretary, and Molly Ergenbright will be our communications officer. In addition to that, we approved the membership dues for 2025, which were released about a week ago. Membership for the month in November, our membership tally showed a net gain of 10 memberships. The numbers for November were the result of 9 new golf memberships with 3 upgrades to golf, combined with 8 new athletic memberships and 1 upgrade, along with 7 resignations in the month of November. At the beginning of the year, our total memberships were budgeted to end at a level less than at the level at the end of 2023. After 11 months, we stand at a net total of plus 24 memberships. In relation to our membership number forecast for the end of November, we have 42 more golf memberships than we budgeted, and 16 less athletic memberships than we had expected. Our full club equivalent numbers are now 54 above our budgeted number of 2007. The number of 160 resignations by the end of November, if extended out to 12 months, is still slightly below our average annual amount of 200 per year. But for conservative budgeting purposes, and with the knowledge that we usually get a disproportionately high number of resignations towards the end of December, we're still forecasting a net loss of about 15 total memberships by the year end. Food and beverage revenue for the month of November was right on budget, following the October impacts of loss of use during the hurricane and the extended power outages at our clubhouses. Overall, our food and beverage revenue is only about 3% below budget for the year, but it's still about 9% higher than it was at the same time last year. Transfer to capital, that's a good indicator of the validity of our budget estimates. Our transfer to capital exceeded budget estimates every month this year except in May and October. And our October operating profit was substantially impacted by expenses related to Hurricane Helene recovery. As of November 30th, our transfer to capital is $3.76 million, which is about 5% above our budget and only about $40,000 short of our budgeted number. The higher than expected golf membership numbers, along with a constant eye on our budget, are producing higher than expected dues and initiation fees amounts and are driving good financials for us this year. That's one of the reasons we were able to reduce our 2025 dues from our preliminary estimates. Our club's financial stability is very sensitive to our membership numbers and our member joins, our members' engagement with the club, and that's why we work so hard to maintain or grow our membership levels while keeping a close eye on our members' ease of access to our amenities. So for my final report to you, I'm going to close with a big picture financial analysis that our board recently received from Jesse Rubin, our CFO. The analysis centers on our club's net assets, which is a key metric for the club industry, and the trends in that value for our club over the last 18 years. So our average growth in our net assets from 2006 to 2016 was minus 0.5% over that 11-year period. From 2017 to 2020, over a 4-year period, that was 2.3% was our average growth. From 2021 to 2022, our average growth was 7.3%. In 2023, our growth was 10.7%, and in 2024, we're forecasting a growth of 11.5%. So those improvements, the flat line was basically during what we call a period of underinvestment in our obligatory assessment and our obligatory assets work. And then in 2017, the capital plan started, and we made a major reinvestment in our club. 2021 to 22, we saw a huge surge in membership due to COVID. And then in 23 to 24, in addition to the assessment from the capital plan, we have initiation fee increases and a mix of new joins with more golf members than athletic members than we usually forecast. And in addition to that, more new members are now paying the initiation fee right up front instead of going into an installment plan. So we're getting a lot more cash in than we did. So basically, the bottom line is in 2016, our net assets value was $45 million. In 2024, we're going to forecast it to be $70 million. So a $25 million increase in 8 years, a 55% increase in our assets. That's my report. Any questions?
What was the name of the secretary?
Tony Marino.
Thank you.
Questions? Okay,
All right.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay,
What's that? Good work.
gonna move on to new business with the general manager, staff reports and action items.
Okay, just a couple of things to mention. We just had another strategic plan meeting with our consultants, and she is scheduling 6 or 7 focus groups at the last week of January. A total of 160 residents have signed up to participate, so that's really good. We're very happy about that. And we'll report out the results to the community after those focus groups. So we're going to engage the community throughout this process. Heard Bob talk about their strategic plan. We're in the middle of creating a new one because we're ending hours right now. So doing some similar kind of things as the club's doing. So we're working through that. The other one is Public Works Director Sean Burgess and I did a video today about the proposed Green Island road path. You still have until January 3rd to get your comments into the county. And with the video, we link to the county website where you can review the plans, fill out a survey, provide your input. And so we'll continue to follow that process and see where we go with that. Does anybody have any questions on either of those or any other association business? Okay, Jessica with our financial report.
Okay, we're going to look at the financial information as of the end of November of 2024. At the end of November, total cash equaled $3.6 million, total investments equaled $10.2 million. Interest earnings in the month of November were $36,918, and year to date at the end of November, $574,845. I do expect that we will see the mark for interest earnings hit right at or above $600,000. You can find the full balance sheet in your packet starting on page 23 of your board packet. Total operating revenue, $596,000 more than our budget at the end of November, also more than where we ended November of 2023. Total operating expenses before depreciation were $167,000 more than our budget, also more than where we ended November of 2023. Net expense over revenue at the end of November was $234,000, which is $428,000 better than our budget projected. Some of the main drivers on the revenue side, almost all of our revenue accounts performing better than budget, but these are the items that stand out to be more than our budget, greater than the others. Architectural fees, vehicle registration, fuel sales, which is mainly gasoline, our Comcast revenue share, EFT fees for those that enroll in the monthly and quarterly payment plan, finance charges, violation charges either by speeding or PPMS violations, and also our resale disclosure. This represents that we've had more homes that have closed on the island and more buyers that have paid that resale fee than we budgeted. On the expense side, our taxes performed better than budget. We had less of a tax liability than we planned. Mailboxes and signs, that's some timing of the expense, but also in-house work that was performed versus contracting that out. The special projects category is mainly due to the timing of the cost for our new strategic plan and also less cost for the Landings Harbor Picnic Pavilion on the export of that project. Operating contingency is performed more than budget. This is due to Hurricane Helene. Total contingency cost as of today are $416,000. Most of that is due to rack removal and debris removal throughout the community. IT support performed more than budget, mainly due to renewals, infrastructure, and also on-site service calls that were needed. And in the other category, our bad debt expense performing more than budget due to a large non-assessment account and also 4 more assessment accounts with a past due balance compared to where we were last year. The 2024 capital reserves budget was approved at $4.925 million. At the end of November, we had spent 3.4 of that 4.9 budget. 48% of that on roads, 24% storm drains, 11% on marinas, 9% on bridges, structures, and equipment, 7% on paths, and 1% on association capital. Many projects have been completed throughout 2024. We had a few new categories that were completed in November, which was 3 compressors that were bought, network modules and network switches, the Landings Harbor fuel tanks, 4 vehicles throughout the association, and 5 portable radios, which put our total expense compared to our budget at the end of November at $105,190 better than our budget. You'll see this grow in December as we close out the projects that have been completed for all of 2024. Members' equity at the end of November equaled $16.6 million, which is an increase of $4.1 million since the beginning of this calendar year. And we have 31 non-assessment accounts that have a past due balance of 60 days. And we have 6 assessment accounts that have a past due balance compared to 4 of last year. One of those 6 is in probate, and the other 5 will be turned over to collection if they have a remaining balance at the end of December. In a few moments, you are going to go through an exercise and a list of motions to be approved. We started the budget process in June of this year. We've been updating the Finance Committee and the board periodically as we've moved through that. And now we are at the point in time where the Finance Committee has approved the recommendation to the board, and the video has been shared with the community, and the details have been talked through on what these motions, on the details behind these motions that you're going to walk through for the approvals. This will be for the revenue ruling 70-604, which will give the association the opportunity to reallocate funds to our capital reserve from our operating in the event that there is a net member income. The 2025 fee schedule, the 2025 assessment allocation between the operating and capital reserves account, the 2025 operating expense budget, and the 2025 capital reserves budget. Any questions for me?
All right, thanks, Jessica. Aaron with the community development report.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm happy to be here to present to you the community development activity through the month of November. Shoot, this is not the right application calendar. This is November's, not December's. Is this the one you sent me today? It's the one I sent you December today.
All right, let's pivot on that one.
I'm
Tim,
so sorry.
Tim, let's do your security, that's okay, we've got a lot to get through, so we can come back to that. Tim, let's do your security report. I'm picking the wrong share, there you go.
All right, so security statistics for the month of November and the year to date. November was on par for Part 1 crimes, 4 and 4. One more burglary and theft reported just to us, and vandalism remained at 0. We did have 1 trespass. The Part 1 crimes that were committed, we did have 1 burglary in November. There was a back door, the exterior window had a hole in it, but was still intact. The interior was shattered, so it was a double pane. So CCPD is investigating that. And then 3 reported thefts. 1 political sign, juvenile was arrested for stealing crabs out of crab traps. And then a check was stolen from somebody's mailbox, cashed up in North Carolina. And the 1 trespass that we did have in November, CCPD did order a no trespass warning against a juvenile in South Harbor. So year-to-date crimes are in par with the rest of the year. Increase in Part 1 crimes, burgs and thefts up to 49, vandalism was up to 9, and trespass up to 9 as well. November Guardian Pro, still it was located on Showland Drive at Sunday Road, 192 in the 41 to 46 mile per hour bucket, if you will, 18, 47 to 51, 4 at 52 to 56, and nobody above 56 miles per hour. It has since been relocated into the public works area. We sanitized it, recharged the batteries, and now it's on Bartram. Speed violations, again, for the month of November, 108 fines issued, 78 residents or guests, 18 vendors, and 12 employees. December appeals, 10 appeals received. 5 cases were heard for speeding violations and 1 case for PPMS. 2 cases were withdrawn by the appellants and 2 cases were dismissed. We looked at the Guardian Pro. The staff has to calibrate it daily, twice a day minimum, and we looked at the calibrations and they weren't 100%, so they were dismissed. So, and again, that's all part of our vetting process to make sure the calibration is correct for that Guardian Pro. November golf cart statistics, again, not much change, 0 to 1 for complaints. Golf cart citations issued 3 to 5, unlicensed drivers 2 to 3. Reminders and citations in November 2024, 3 warnings versus 23, which were 39 warnings. And again, that's part and due because we did away with the warnings. Citations issued, not including the Guardian Pro, 17 citations issued in 2024 versus 6 in 2023. In total fines, you can see increase from 548 to 1,100. Any questions on any of that?
Tim, just if I can ask
Yes.
a quick question. 192 people exceeded 11 miles over the limit. Do you have any, just a ballpark number? How many people in Deer Creek go out or come in that gate
I can get those statistics.
That would be, I mean, a percentage.
Outbound, not so much, but we do have them for inbound.
And I can tell you with the traffic study we did to tie it to the village POA contract, it's about 700 to 800 a day in.
Yeah,
Within
700 times whatever, 30 days.
Yeah, about 400 to 600 at the other end of their group.
Yeah. If that's important to you, I can look into it.
Not just an interest, so we're talking a small percentage, but still 192 is a lot of people getting
Yeah.
speeding.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely, it is a small percentage. But.
Still 192.
Yes.
All right, any other questions for
So,
Tim?
so for unlicensed drivers of golf carts, the kids, how do you typically pick up on that? Do you get a call from someone, or is it a roving patrol, or?
Both. Sometimes it's, and Michael's been working Saturday specifically. He has yet to catch one on his own though. But that patrols will randomly stop, kids that don't look like they're old enough to have a driver's license. And then a lot of times we get a lot, after the fact, the next day we get an email, oh, by the way, cart number XYZ123 was operating, I think a 14-year-old was driving. Then we typically have a conversation with the parents, because again, we don't want to start enforcing just off of third-hand information. Yeah.
So, if you have a cart number, you can go back.
Oh, we go and we have a conversation with parents, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
yeah.
One of the statistics that we received at our roundtable talked about 41, if memory serves, part 1 crimes on the island, I believe, or in the
Yes.
landings.
On the island.
On the islands?
Yes.
Okay, so is that the difference between the
Yes.
numbers, or could the difference also be because we weren't notified, or no?
No, typically, and that's where, like she was saying, Duncan and Brian provide us their statistics every month. For example, the statistics that we just got back last month, it had a part 1 crime theft in there of golf clubs, but theirs hadn't been updated yet because that was the one that later after the fact, after we reported it, a lady called in and said, no, your clubs fell off your cart, they weren't stolen. So they still hadn't updated theirs yet. Because again, and sometimes that happens. Victims forget, oh yeah, I need to notify law enforcement. This wasn't actually a theft. So, but that's right. And theirs are all of this precinct. Okay, it's not just us.
Got it.
So that's the difference.
Okay.
Exactly. Good catch.
So is there a precinct just the island, or is it?
It's the island, and I think Burnside, that basically encapsulates all of that precinct there. But we've had there was some thefts off of, I think Green Island Road. There's been quite a few other, thefts on the island.
It's the upper left-hand corner, Kim, if you're looking for the file that you're copying over, it's the upper left-hand corner.
And same thing, I think she quoted there was 9 that were cleared, but I think our records only show that 8 cases have been cleared, and 2 with exceptional clearance. And that's 8 cleared with an arrest.
And then there was a mention of a large number that they believe were perpetrated by a deceased individual,
Yes, ma'am.
like 10?
Depending on what, 7 and 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Tim? Good. Thank you, Tim. I think we are ready for community development.
Sorry about that. Let's try again. We've got our December gremlins joining us early. Okay, so these are the community development activity report. This is for the month of November 2024. As you can see, our permit activity was kind of through the roof. It's almost double what it was this time last year. We've already exceeded so far this year more the permitting that we've done last year. So we're on par to be closer to our highest numbers, which were seen in 21 and 22. So
You just click back in there.
There we go. ARC applications reviewed last month, 35 versus 23. We're averaging roughly 18 to 20 applications per month, which has been pretty consistent. In terms of our summary of construction activity, we did have another new home completed, making 25 for the year. We have no new homes that have broken ground, but we still have 17 active new construction sites, four major improvements, 75 minor improvements, 21 dumpsters, pods and porch downs, and then 16 permit extensions. So again, we've got another new home. This is number 25. We expect there's either going to be 26 or 27, maybe 28 finishing out the year, as the activity is really wrapping up. In terms of the private property maintenance violations, we had 20 versus 31 the same time last year. The numbers are almost neck and neck when you look at them overall as to the overall year-to-date totals of private property maintenance violations between 23 and 24. And then with our courtesy notices, we have 22 versus 20. You can see that they fluctuate. A lot of that has to do with weather-related events and things like that. Obviously the storms, freezes that impact people's landscaping. So the overall summary of activity on the inspection side, we had 235 inspections that were related to ARC applications. We had 822 of those private property maintenance proactive inspections, 60 follow-ups on properties that already had existing violations, and then we had 17 properties that were fully resolved. That was 88% was without formal written notice. So we're still really happy with those numbers, although it's not the 100% we got last month. In terms of our violations observed, change the colors up a little bit on the chart so you could see it easier, but dead, disease, and hazardous trees made up 5% of our violations. Some of those remainders from the storm of trees that were leaning on other areas, presenting as hazardous. 16% were driveway damage or maintenance. 23% was home maintenance. Then we had a large component of it, 40% was landscaping, and then we had some ARC related violations wrapping up the last 16%. That is the information I have to share with you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So, question about golf course side inspections. How often do you do that?
We usually try to do them in the spring or in the fall, so it's not when it's really cold and where it's really, really hot. We did them in the spring. We usually do them once a year. If there's anything that we missed in the spring, we'll try to wrap up and catch it in the fall. So at this point, we've already done all the properties from the golf course side once this year. We'll probably be starting on them again as the weather warms up a little bit in the spring.
So, I assume you do both sides of the golf course, not just take the cart path.
They take the cart path, but it's basically the vantage points are from wherever there is a road, a street, a common pathway, or if it's a view that's visible from any of the other common areas. So like there are times when we get called out about a specific property off of a lagoon, and we'll go look at it from those vantage points. But most of the golf course inspections are done from the pathways.
So does the club ever tell you that they've got a problem with a property?
You know, we don't frequently get comments. We're happy to take
The
them.
neighbors will tell us.
Yeah. Neighbors tell us, we hear from Public Works or security if there are issues. We hear from a lot of golfers. They will tell us exactly where it is based on the golf course tees, which none of us know as well as you do. So it takes us a little while. We'll have to go venture out there and find which specific tee it is that they're referencing. But, you know, we'll take those concerns via SeeClick Fix. You can send them in through just, contact us. SeeClick Fix is very helpful because you can drop a pin and geolocate, and that is helpful for us to find it without having to spend a lot of time looking left of the third house from the tee down the fairway.
From the T-box. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you stop sharing that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, as Jessica mentioned, we're going to start going through some items pretty quickly. We have been working with the Finance Committee and the board and various committees throughout the last few months on these. So a lot of time and energy have gone into this. After all of these are approved, we will be posting the budget book on our website. so that everybody can go in and look at it and see any of the details that they want to see. We're certainly open to any questions and feedback. If people have things they want to see in the budget book that we don't have in there, please let us know. The first item is Revenue Ruling 70-604 on page 37 of your packet. This simply allows us, if we have excess operating revenue in a year, to transfer that to reserves for our capital repairs and replacements that we have planned out over the next 30 years. It does not look like we'll have that this year because of the $400,000 in storm-related expenses. However, we have to approve this year to even give us the opportunity next year. So we are looking for a motion to approve Revenue Ruling 7604 as noted on page 37.
Second. Any discussion? I just note that Kevin Crouch is online too, so we'll make that.
Yes.
So let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, the next one is on page 38, the classification and compensation plan that lays out the salary ranges for the employees of the association. Other than my position, it's a separate contract, so we're looking for motion to approve the class and comp plan.
So approved.
Second,
Second.
discussion. Just as additional note, we as a board been through these both in committee and workshop multiple times, so if it seems like we're going fast, we are. Let's vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so that's approved.
All right, the next one is the fee schedule that begins on page 39. So these are, any updated fees are in blue, and this also does include our fine schedule in here as well.
So I need a motion to.
So moved.
Yes, second. Discussion, further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved, none opposed. Thank you.
On page 42 is our 2025 assessment allocation of our 2,518 annual assessment dollars per lot. This would allocate 1,603 to the operating fund and $915 to the capital reserve fund.
Okay, this comes as a recommendation of the finance committee for sure.
Yes.
So, any discussion? Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Aye.
Thank you.
On page 43 is the 2025 operating budget resolution for a total operating budget of $12,524,932.
Okay, then this comes as a recommendation of the finance committee, so we don't need a second. So let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Page 44 is the 2025 capital reserve budget to go along with the operating budget, and this is for $5,825,418.
Again, a recommendation for finance committee, so we have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next is the 2025 bank signatories. This is the executive committee, the general manager, and the finance director for the association, and we do want a motion on this for approval.
Yes, I need a motion to approve these signatories. Move. So move. Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None?
Aye.
Page 46, the 2025 retirement plan trustees. This is the executive committee of the board, and we are looking for a motion for approval.
So I need a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Vote, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next We are going to committee membership. Kimberly handed out an updated form. We made 2 changes to what was included in the packet. We are looking to have Bruce Chung on the Marinas Committee and Prue Eddy on the Communications Committee. Kimberly has updated that, so per the handout that is at your desk, that is the 2025 committee roster, so we're looking for a motion to approve that roster.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. None opposed? Aye. Thank you.
Annual calendar, Kimberly also has provided a handout for that. I know it's in the packet, but we also have the handout here. This lays out the committee meeting schedules. Typically, the committees will confirm the meeting dates and times to see if they can make adjustments. It is challenging to make adjustments when you are trying to schedule different committees in this room and around golf. So we typically don't change these, but we are looking for a motion to approve this schedule.
So moved. Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Great, thanks. Approved, thank you.
Not for approval, but I do want to point out, Kimberly also gave the association directory so you can see the different heads of the committees and staff and the board. So you have your cell phones and addresses and everything. So do find that as a handy handout that Kimberly did. I don't want it to get lost in all the other paperwork for us. Page 52, where this sets the proxy for the year to Patty Morgan as the incoming president of the association. So looking for a motion to approve that.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. That's approved.
Starting on page 53, this is our employee benefits renewals. We talked about this at our board workshop. We talked about this in the finance committee. The bottom line is we are recommending staying with our current providers that we have, the key one being United Healthcare. This doesn't lock us into the provider for the year. We are still working with our broker on looking at a potential captive insurance solution, potentially the middle of next year, looking at an option on that one. So we are still continuing to work through that, but we did not have good rates on that at this point, and we still need to get a little bit more education for that. So we're looking to continue with our current providers and at least lock in the rates for 2025. So looking for a motion to approve the employee benefits renewals.
Need a motion to approve the benefits renewals. Second. So, any further discussion? None, let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Okay. None opposed? Thank you.
All right, page 57, this is for a 3-year contract to continue services we provide to the landings company, access control facilities, assistance with late arriving prospects and renters, response to requests for assistance, etc., as well as twice nightly perimeter checks. So looking for a motion to approve this 3-year continuation contract.
So moved.
So moved. Second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, approved, thank you.
The last one in this section is the Landers Harbor Basin dredging contract. We have to dredge the harbor every year to move out the silt and to have the access for our boaters in there in the basin. There are several components to this agreement. The big one is the coastal marine and construction for the dredging itself. We also have a booster pump rental, surveys to see how much fill is there and how much we remove, fuel and contingency allowance, as well as some engineering services. Those all add up to a total cost of $140,500, which is below the budgeted amount of $150,000. So we're looking for a motion to approve this entire project in the amount of $140,500.
Okay, need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Any discussion? I have one. We have this bubbler curtain. Larry, is it making a difference in the amount of material that's removed?
You know, it does appear that the bubbler curtain is having some positive effect. Up until now, we've kind of been playing catch up. There was a lot of material in the basin before we installed the bubbler curtain. But since we installed the bubbler curtain in March of '23, we've dredged. We dredged in '23, installed it. We had good depths there, about 6, 7 feet. We went back in '24, dredged again. A lot of the material that we removed in '23 was being pushed out from underneath the docks where the dredge can't get. So looking at the dredge contract, we're looking at 30 days of dredging this coming year. We did 37 days of dredging this year. So we're cutting back on our time. Our expense has gone up as far as the cost of the dredge contractor. His rates have gone up, but we see that we're starting to back off of the volumes that we need to remove to maintain 8 feet, which is what we're allowed to maintain. So I think that the bubbler curtain has some positive effects as far as what we're seeing right now. Mm-hmm. You know, another 2 years of studying the bubbler curtain and continuing to watch it, I think will tell us a lot more. It may be a year, but yeah, I think that the curtain is doing some positive effects on the basin.
Great. Well, thanks for that update. Any other questions? Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Thank you.
I think that's it.
That's it for my part, yes.
Okay, so now we're gonna move to board, committee, special reports. Finance committee, Rosemary is not here, so anybody else have a report? Thank you, Jessica and team, for the budget, and now you can publish it.
Thank you.
Governance committee.
Okay, so we met in early December, and there's 3 items that we need approval for the board, and that's coming out of the governance committee. The first item has to do with the value of assets that need to be depreciated. Historically, if an asset costs $1,000 and it could be in service for 3 years, we would depreciate it. We're raising that limit from 1,000 to 5,000, and still remaining 3 years in service. So we'd like a vote and approval on that.
Okay, so this is need a motion to approve the board policy revision in terms of the depreciation threshold.
So move.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So welcome, Rosemary. I hope you didn't get a ticket.
You got a ticket in the landing. I'm kidding. The second item is the bylaws revision based on the, we made a decision to put the water rate committee, turn it into a standing committee, or make it a standing committee. And the standing committees are listed in our bylaws, so we're adding to our bylaws this water rate committee. And so I need a motion to approve that. And the board.
Okay, it comes from the committee, so we can just,
Okay.
we have a motion, so all in favor? Aye.
Alright.
Good. All right,
And the third item is, the governance committee reviewed the architectural review updated guidelines for 2025 or going forward from today. And we spent a lot of time reviewing that, and Erin and her team did an excellent job of her team being not only her staff but also the architectural review committee. They did an excellent job of updating the guidelines and making them more relevant to major construction, major renovations, and comparing them to 14 different communities in Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. So we're happy to approve those, and we want to get the board approval.
great. So it's a big project, so Have a motion, and a second. Any further discussion? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
That's
I'll
all.
turn it back to Rosemary.
So, Rosemary, we just come to
Thank you.
board committee and special reports. Anything from the finance committee you wish to share? Okay.
Not yet, not yet.
Strategic water committee?
We have not met again. We will meet again in January, and the task forces continue to push forward, and we're looking forward to success with them in 2025.
Probably nothing from the development committee, is that correct?
There were no meetings.
Any comments from directors or questions? Okay, we're pretty close on time here.
Yeah, I would like to just say something, since this is my last meeting. I'd like to thank all my fellow board members and the staff and Carl and department heads. It's been a wonderful 3-year experience in learning about the community. I've lived in part-time and full-time for 22 years, and a lot better understanding of how dedicated our staff are. And I certainly appreciate the hard work of Herman and Bill as my former classmates. And I wish the new people best of luck.
Thank you.
And Bill, he kind of preempted me. I was just going to say thank you to Carrie and Bill and Herman for everything they have done and all of their time commitments over the last 3 years. Obviously, not only in the boardroom, but in all of the associated activities and committees and everything else. We truly appreciate you've done a great job, and kudos to you all. And hopefully you can find something to do with any spare time you might inherit.
We still have them on some committees though.
Oh, okay. So thank you one and all.
Well, anyone else would like to congratulate us? Okay. Not there, so. I'll move on to the president's report. I've just got 3 things to tell you about. Those of you who've been on the board and staff have heard us talk about the vendor access agreement, and I can tell you that Bob and I have both signed that agreement, and so we will prepare an announcement at some appropriate time to let the community know that we actually can get together and do things and get things done. So thank you, Bob, for your help with doing that, and for Tim and Carrie and others who looked at wheels and weights and all that business. So congratulations. I do want to give my congratulations to the ARC and the governance committee for work on those guidelines. That took a good amount of time, so thank you, Aaron, and pass that on to your committee when you get a chance. So we really appreciate it. It's over a year, I think, and
2
I'm
years.
just working on
2
this,
years.
so big deal. We are having the club and Teal are going to have a joint executive committee meeting on Thursday, where we have several things to discuss. We've invited the new executive committee members of each organization to be at that meeting, and so it'll be kind of a transition from previous group to the new group, and we have high hopes and expectations that that's going to continue as a very viable group. We are going to discuss actually a formalization of a community or a leadership charter that will hopefully make this a more permanent meeting time. We're talking again about risk management. We're going to talk about stormwater infrastructure issues and how to manage those and pay for those. We have a new issue with security and rules enforcement, and has to do with maybe some joint work in our security teams, but also jointly kind of get together how we enforce the rules. And we have some overlaps with well, I think that the best example is probably the young drivers of golf carts that probably run away from the different security guys by going to the next property. So they go from the golf course to the TLA, and I don't know if there's hot pursuit rules that apply to the landing security, but that's one thing. And then I think water sustainability, and that's different than stormwater. I mean, this is related to permits in the future and how do we preserve what we have. So those are the kind of things that we'll be kind of discussing, and a lot of times the discussion is just a discussion and try to flesh out the issues, and there'll be times when we can make a joint decision and times we just say, well, now we understand the process better. So I want to thank Bob Hanley for just being persistent and getting us together over the last year and keeping this joint committee adventure going, which started up with Herman. So that concludes my report. I think I need a motion then to adjourn to our executive session.
So moved.
So moved.
That's where you came.
Okay.
In a second?
Second.
And all in favor?